All right, welcome to another Weekend No Show. We are back, and I just want to say that thanks everyone for being here. This show is a volunteer show in which no one should be expecting to be compensated financially or in any other way, as according to the work agreement. I think it was page 2, paragraph 2, subsection C. So, with that said, Mr. CL Smooth, how you doing, man?
What's good, homie? Another weekend, another no show. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. And I want to introduce the man known as the Insidious LAT. How you doing?
What's going on, fellas?
Woo! I think it works, man. Let's go with that. That's going to be our official greeting from now on. Yeah. Okay. Well. With that said, today I want to talk about Maegan Hall, and just to set up the case for people out there. Maegan Hall is a former police officer from Lavergne, Tennessee, U.S.A. And it was discovered earlier, the initial case that was brought was an internal investigation in which it was discovered that Maegan was having sexual relations, hooking up with several officers. I think it might have been, 4 or 5 of these guys she was hooking up with, and it was, on company time, on company property, or on village property, city property, and on duty. So these officers were fired. Maegan, being the only woman, she's kind of focused on where, she was married and still carrying on with these other officers, and even the police chief was brought into this. And so this internal investigation, it was not criminal. This was an internal investigation that found out it was inappropriate sexual relations. Some of these things have to be reported, when you are law enforcement and such, and it was not reported. So they were let go. And initially, Maegan Hall's response to this, when she was asked by, it might have been the Daily Mail or somewhere, British publication, she said, "I don't want to discuss it. I'm just going to move on and live my life." And that's what Maegan Hall told his publication. But I wanted to bring this up because we found out just recently that now Maegan has filed a federal civil rights lawsuit. And now she is saying that she was sexually groomed, and she's kind of blamed the behavior on a troubled marriage. And she was saying that these guys harassed her and that she couldn't say no. She claims she tried to shut down the advances, but they wouldn't take no for an answer. And I'm just going to read one of her quotes, where now she says, "I know what most people are saying. You could have said no. I get it. But my response to them is, I did say no, and he wouldn't take it for an answer. Eventually, I gave in from the pressure." And by he, I think she means Sergeant Powell, who was probably the main person that she hooked up with. So with that said, my question here is a federal civil rights lawsuit viable here? Is she just looking to get out of taking responsibility for this? Is this a viable lawsuit? And CL Smooth, man, what do you think about that?
Well, it's another crazy story, but it seems about right. If you think about the last 5 to 10 years in the world, these are the kind of things that are going on. I guess the first thing is that most companies have some kind of regulation, whether we know it or not, or if it's top of mind or not. Most companies have some kind of rules with relationships on the job, particularly with people of different rank, different position in the company, and specifically, government jobs, police, military, all those for sure have definite rules about what they call fraternization senior officers with people under their command and things like that. So
Sure, sure.
the first thing is, from what I read in the article, there was definitely, you know, sexual conduct on her behalf with other officers. I think officers that were maybe ranked above her, and then her commanding officer definitely did some inappropriate things in terms of. I think maybe it's questionable. They got to go into the lawsuit to see whether or not he did anything directly to her, but his behavior with his other officers in relation to her, their conversations about her were definitely inappropriate. So, on the one hand, I think she has a well. On the one hand, the police department is 100% in the right, disciplining and firing all of these officers, her included, because they've all violated, code of conduct. And in particular, the senior officers, I think the chief of police, right,
Oh
all
yeah, yeah.
violated code of conduct. But the question is, does she have a case against them for that? I think it's real hard to make a case of grooming when you sleep with it was at least six different officers on the job, right? She did it off of work
Exactly.
and while on duty. And I got to be honest with you, while their all of their behavior is inappropriate on the job, they all deserve to be fired. I my first thought with this is, okay, here we go again. This is another young lady that doesn't want to take accountability for her own behavior, you know, and everyone else has to pay the cost for that. And I don't know if you guys followed the case in the NBA. There was a basketball coach called Ime Udoka with the Boston Celtics, and he got basically suspended for a year. So he's been suspended this whole year, and basically at the end of the season, he's going to be out of a job um, because he had an affair with a staffer within the Celtics organization. Who the rumor is that she was the wife of like some senior executive in the Boston Celtics organization.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so he definitely violated, company rules, right, by doing that. And technically, because I think she also worked for the Celtics, um, and I think technically she might have fallen under his kind of, you know, authority, so to speak. So he definitely did wrong there, but the media and everyone came out like really hard against him, but nobody wanted to like they wouldn't name her publicly. Everyone was trying to protect her. She didn't lose her job. She wasn't suspended. And again, it was kind of that thing where I get he kind of groomed her type of thing. And I find it kind of annoying, man. At what point, at what age are we all adults and are we responsible for our actions? This just sounds like another person who is going to try to game the system. And I'm gonna tell you what, man. I would be surprised if she doesn't win the case, if she doesn't get money out of this. That's what would
Okay.
surprise me. I don't think she should. I don't think she should get a damn cent, but I would be surprised if she doesn't.
Okay. Okay. And I thought that too. Like she doesn't want to take responsibility for this, and is this a lot of the chatter I saw online was that this was not unexpected at all, and nobody seemed surprised that the lawsuit was filed. So
I mean,
maybe that's
this
just
is
the way.
if you want to
Yeah.
try to make some money off of that, this is the climate to do that. I mean, not if you're a man, but if you're a woman, this is the definite time in our history where you could get paid. You can break the rules, you can do the wrong thing, and claim victim and get paid. So
Right.
everyone's is running that hustle right now.
Okay. Well, in that case, let me just go over to Insidious LAT. Hey, man, let me just ask you what are your thoughts on everything this move said and the whole case, man?
So once again, you founding member of the He-Man Woman Haters Club, and no, ma'am, has once again said that I don't agree with. And
Oh no.
here's the thing. First of all, I believe her. I believe she was coerced. I mean, just from it's hard to you don't judge a book by the cover, but just looking at her, I'm like, yeah, that chick definitely got coerced by a bunch of dudes, and they used and abused her. And I don't know if it's a federal case, but I believe her. So let me go ahead and say that. Let me go
Okay.
back. So there's that. And I don't think it's it's a sort of a sign of the times that this is happening, that she's suing. I just think, the only way that you can change a flawed system is by taking them to court, and by hitting them where it hurts, and that's monetarily. No one's gonna everyone's gonna judge this case as, this is just a loose woman who was just getting dick on the side, and that's not the case. This was a woman who was coerced by her superiors to do these things, and as a result, you know, everybody got fired. But it was still, it was a bad situation that she was in, and the only way to change those things is to hit the case, hit the not the case, hit the department where it hurts, and that's in their coffers. So that's where I stand on this.
Okay, so Smooth, do you have a counterpoint to that, to what he just said?
Man, this is really disappointing. Shit. First of all, I'm not part of no woman haters club.
You already know.
No,
you stanky alfalfa. The whole game.
No, I just speak the truth, man. I just speak the truth, and a lot of people don't like to hear that. You know what I'm saying? If I think someone's right, I'm gonna stand with them. If I don't, I won't. But man, sounds to me, brother, like you've been brainwashed, man. I don't know what's going on. That's crazy to me. She had sex with 6 different guys on the force. I don't care that she did that. You got to understand me. I don't care what people do in their personal life. It makes no difference to me. I'm not judging her, man. I'm not in a position to judge anyone. Um, if that's how she wants to do her thing, and her husband's cool with that, then go ahead. It's not a big deal. I don't have a problem with that. My problem is, as an officer, she shouldn't be doing that while on duty, right? Because, there could be people that need those officers' help, and they off, knocking one out.
I thought of that too. Like, damn,
Right?
man, I need help.
That's a problem. And if you remember, my statement began with those officers, her included, violated police department rules, which are pretty common rules across almost all organizations. And those senior officers have a higher responsibility. Any of the officers that she reported to, or a higher rank of her, or whatever, have a higher responsibility just by virtue of their rank and their position in the department, not to engage in any kind of relationship like that with someone that they work with. I think there's a protocol where if you do end up in a relationship with someone, you have to let folks know, and then people get reassigned and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I think that would have been fine. But the problem here is to paint her as a victim, right? This is not some teenager. She's a grown woman. I don't know if she's like in her 30s or something like that.
No,
like
she's 24.
All right, so she's 24. So at what age is she an accountable adult? She got groomed by 6 guys.
Yeah.
I know her story now is, well, they said I was going to get a promotion, and he was going to help me get a promotion and stuff like that. Okay, so you were willing to use your sex to get the promotion. That's equally as bad as the other person saying, I'm going to get you a promotion if you give me sex. You're both wrong. This is a weakness in society, man. It's the same thing that listen, man, I'm as pro brothers as it comes, but all this stuff, I'm a woman, I'm transgender, I'm gay, I'm black, the whole world is against me. Yes, there's things going on in society. But we also have an obligation to stand up for ourselves and do the right thing for ourselves, man. So this is, they all should be fired because they violated the police department rules. They put the public at risk, like I said, because people could have needed their assistance. They often getting their rocks off.
Getting it in.
You know what I'm saying? But now she wants money for that. She was groomed. What does groomed mean if you're an adult? What does that mean? She couldn't have got the first dude that said, "Hey, give me some sex," or what? I don't know what was going to happen. She couldn't have reported that. There are all kinds of avenues within the police department to follow that up. And if she said, "Well, they were all in on it," I would have just been fired. well, come out with your story after not having engaged in that activity with 6 people on the force, right? And there's some other legal options for you. You know, she's trying to be a victim after she committed the crime, man. That's nonsense.
Okay. LAT, any counterpoints?
No, not really. I mean, I don't think we're gonna come to any sort of agreement here, other than I believe
Okay.
at 24, she can still, there's no age that there's no set age of maturity and where you start sticking up for yourself. It just happens eventually at some point. There's no set age. So the fact that she's 24 doesn't mean anything. She could have been 30 and she still could have been coerced by people above her. So that's that.
I don't know if groomed is a technical term legally. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think of groomed as somebody who's 14, 15, and some dude comes along and grooms some chick, and that's what I think of in that. But I don't know. Similar, we have statutory laws where that number is set, and that's set in stone, and it doesn't matter if they may or may not be mature enough. That's the number. Is grooming an actual term, a legal term? I don't know.
Yeah, and not even so much her being groomed. It's just like, again, I'm only going by what I read in the article and the pictures. But she looked like a weak person, kind of, just like a weak mind, mousy woman who got taken advantage of by a bunch of her coworkers, and I just don't think that's cool. And I get that we live in a overly litigious society, but also that's the only way that we make change these days is by taking people to court. I mean, we can picket and wring our hands all we want to, but change doesn't happen until we hit people in their fucking pockets. And so for that reason, I'm pro. I don't even remember her name. I'm pro whatever her name is.
I'm pro.
Pro. What's her name?
About Aaron Hall's little sister.
Okay.
Well, let me share a couple of jokes, man, that I saw online. I read something that said Maegan Hall. She's a Jedi Knight now. She got the whole damn Force in her.
Oh
yeah. Oh.
And talking about her husband, they were like, "Oh, damn! I guess nice guys do finish last, if you know what I mean."
Damn. Yeah, her husband, who is standing by her.
Yeah.
And good on him, because I'm gonna be real honest with you. I would have those divorce papers would have been signed before she even got back into the house. If I had found out that my wife, that.
Well, Bill, let me ask you a question.
6 people.
We just did an episode on simps and simping, and you are the expert simp.
Whoa!
I don't know. I didn't say you are a simp. I just said you're an expert. In the Jedi Order of simping.
Expert simpologist.
The simpologist. So the husband is standing by her, and damn, man, if you not that this is brother, man, he's going through some pain, but
listen,
you see his picture, I'm like, damn, that's simp of the year.
I know where you're going.
No, but here's the question: is he a grandmaster simp?
Here's the thing.
Or no, hold on.
Okay.
Or is he about to flip the script on everybody? He's waiting for her to win this case, get paid, then he's going to divorce her ass, take half, and bounce. Okay. That would be the grandmaster move. But what do you think?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that I want to say he's a simp, but he's not. He's not a simp. He's just a loving husband who's supporting his wife. I'm going to go ahead and give him some grace and just assume that's what he is. He's like, listen, I got you no matter what. So I'm going to go ahead and give him some grace on that. I mean, but I wouldn't, if I were him, I would have divorced her, but that's just me. I'm not as strong as that dude. Because every time I see her, I just think about all the other dudes who I probably knew and hung out with that ran up in her. And that's not cool for me.
Okay.
So I don't think he's a simp, but I think he's just a supportive husband. But again, I don't think I would do what he's doing. I don't know if
I don't think he's a simp because he's actually married. I mean, to me, simp can't pull anybody.
Yeah. So
a simp is somebody trying to get somebody, and they can't.
Now, here's
Well, I think go ahead.
I was gonna
Go ahead,
say,
bro.
if he does, wait till she gets her windfall and then takes half, that's some low down shit.
Nah, that's a chess move. Why is that
Yeah,
low down?
that would be big pimping.
Well, I think it's unclear from the reporting whether or not she told people that they had an open relationship and that she was trying to get him to get involved in a little, threesome swinging type of thing,
Oh,
but he wasn't
jeez,
down for
I didn't
that.
read any of that. Okay.
But someone else said that they didn't think that was true, that he wasn't down with any of that. So it's unknown, it's unclear what he knew or didn't know. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But the thing I was going to say is that JG is that I will give her a little bit of, as Val says, a little bit of grace because she did work. She was working undercover in the gang unit. I'm sorry, the gang bang unit. You know, it's going to be a difficult job.
Dear God. Yeah, that's where we go on this show. The weekend no show, everybody. Okay, well, we're out of here. Like and subscribe. No, but let me break down the case here, you guys. I want to break down the case because the bottom line, before I even get started, I just LAT is wrong. So I'm just gonna
1,000% wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of JG and myself, we're embarrassed, man. Who is this dude? Who is this
yeah,
guy? This
I'm
is
very
not the guy
shocked. I'm
we
very shocked.
basically grew up with, man.
I
No.
mean, so Maegan Hall, the initial investigation, she is accused of sexual misconduct. She's also accused of sexual harassment. Accusations say she sent explicit photos and videos to multiple coworkers. Hall is accused of making references to Powell's genitalia and race. She's accused of pulling Officer Magliocho into a restroom where she asked him if he wanted to fuck, the report says. Later in the evening, she gave him oral sex. She asked Magliocho to borrow $50 to get a hotel room, but did not want her husband to know. Text showing Hall texted Sergeant McGowan, asking to come to his house that she would dress cute. Accuses her. She's accused of asking McGowan to come fuck her and drag her around by the hair. And later, Hall says, "I got stupid. I got desperate in the midst of a divorce, which I don't know where this divorce, it kept coming up that maybe there was a divorce." And she says, "I guess guys are guys and they'll stick their dick in anything." So she's blaming the guys here for this. And I didn't appreciate it. And here's the thing, to me, it's like she seems like the type who was kind of mousy, and maybe she got attention she wasn't used to getting, and it went to her head. It went to her head, and so then she had some power. She had some sexual power, which she enjoyed, and it blew up on her. And she claims that I have more quotes from her. She says Sergeant Powell learned that Mrs. Hall was going through the process of buying a home with her husband, that this process was extremely taxing on the relationship. Sergeant Powell positioned himself as a reliable source of companionship and advice regarding Mrs. Hall's career and her marriage. And then so this is now her lawsuit where she's claiming that Sergeant Powell persisted in requests for sex despite Mrs. Hall's resistance. Eventually, Mrs. Hall gave into Sergeant Powell's request for sexual favors, but that doesn't jive with the texts that were sent earlier that were recovered from the initial police investigation. And I felt like this is a woman who, remember the first quote I said, she just wants to move on with her life, move on and live my life. Well, that was before the lawsuit. She soon discovered, I'm sure, that she was not viable to get hired. She couldn't get a job anywhere. This is out. Where is she going to work? What is she going to do? She needs money. Oh, I'm sure there was all kind of lawyers sending her stuff. They were probably camped outside of her house. Please let me take this case. And they're telling her the case is for unspecified damage. We don't know how much it's for. But as Smooth said, I'd be very, very surprised if she lost. But anyway, she needs money. She needs to survive. This is how she's going to survive. And I just can't get with the whole grooming thing. She's claiming she was coerced. She was terrorized, calling out her bosses. She reportedly tried to douse the sexual advances of the chief. The chief asked her to come into his office to dance for him, so she claims, tried to get her to agree to lunch dates, and described her clothing as hot girl summer shit. And even if true, just from what I'm reading about her, she probably thought that was great. And now she's realizing that no company, why would they want to hire her? Especially another police organization or law enforcement organization, they would be crazy to hire her. And speaking of crazy to say this, the lawsuit claims that she had mental health issues. This is a person that they knew had mental health issues. Wait a minute.
Why is she a
You
police
were
officer
saying,
then?
yeah, why is she in the police department? You know, so really they're hiring people with known mental health issues. Like, I know you can't discriminate. And this actually, I want to tell you guys something about that. I read a book by a guy named I think Jack Devine was his name, and he was the deputy director of the CIA. And he says that one of the questions he was always asked was the show Homeland. You remember the show Homeland?
Yeah.
And they would always ask him, can somebody who has schizophrenia like that, can they work in the CIA? And his answer was always yes. He said, we cannot discriminate. He's like, but no, they would not be a field agent like her. They would not be a case officer like her. Yeah. He's like, they have to disclose it. And once that was disclosed, they would find something for you to do, but it would not be that. And I'm thinking that if Maegan Hall had disclosed her supposed mental issues, then they would have found something for her to do behind the desk.
They found something for her to do.
Well, they found too much for her to do.
They found something
for sure.
Well, let me ask you guys this: did you read those texts? You read the text, right?
Yeah.
I didn't read.
Oh my God. Okay, so the text, Chief Davis. This is between Chief Davis and Sergeant McGowan. And Sergeant McGowan, just so we know, Sergeant McGowan is the one who started this whole thing going, which I believe was an attempt to save himself. He was the one who went to the mayor and started this investigation, Sergeant McGowan.
Really? Okay.
And it's said that it's believed that he probably knew this was going to come out. This is all coming out, and he better get ahead of this. So he was the one. But anyway, Chief Davis, who Chief Burl Chip Davis, now he was kicked out. He initially lied in the investigation, claimed he knew nothing about this, but he had a burner phone that he nicknamed Old Boy, and that was the phone that they were supposed to text him on. Text me on, Old Boy. And so Chief Davis receives a picture of a photograph of a black male foot inside Officer Hall's mouth. So then Chief Davis says, "Who dat?" And McGowan says, "That's Hall and Lewis." And Chief Davis says, "He on it again." Sergeant McGowan, "He swears he ain't." Chief Davis, "She nor her husband took their picture." Sergeant McGowan, "She has a tight little ass though." Chief Davis, "Yep." And then Chief Davis, "The fuck Lewis saying to these hoes, because normal pimp shit ain't working." Sergeant McGowan, "No fucking clue, he killing it." Chief Davis, maybe goody shit." Sergeant McGowan, "It's gotta be. I can't do it. Gorilla pimp." Chief Davis, "Only way I know."
Now you guys know what a gorilla pimp is, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
So then Chief Davis says, "Does she talk to you?" Sergeant McGowan, "Nope. She getting too much attention." Chief Davis, "Oh, I see. She's getting too much attention. She's not. She knows what she's doing." Sergeant McGowan, "It's all good." And Chief Davis, "I saved her for the last time. I wish I could tell her who she fucking can't do shit for her." Sergeant McGowan, "I wish I could too. Then we both could play." And he said, Chief Davis said, "Can't fuck with Lewis though, because the pics are fire." And more pics came. 13-second video of Hall masturbating that she sent out was then passed around.
See, part of the reason why I think she might win this case is because it's not like she doesn't have any leg to stand on, right? Because the chief and I don't know the rank of all the officers involved, but definitely the chief is over the whole thing. He effed it up because not only is he talking to subordinate officers about her in an inappropriate way, he also admits that he was trying to get her to have sex with him also.
Yes.
Right? So that's, man, that's inappropriate. That's breaking police department rules. But there's also a claim for like sexual harassment in that as well. So she does have a little bit of a leg to stand on there, even though her behavior is inappropriate. What the senior officers did to exacerbate that, like the chief should have shut that down. And had he just been talking about it with other officers, that's still, in a fun way, that still would have been inappropriate. He probably still would have got fired for that. But the fact that he was admitting that he was actually trying to hit it as well, that opens the door up for her to win that case. Now, I don't believe she was groomed. I don't think she was forced to do anything. I think JJ, your comment you made earlier that she just kind of felt maybe a little bit of power, having that kind of sexual interest from all those guys, might have went to her head a little bit. But they opened the door for her to win this case against the department or the city because of the way the senior officers handle it. So that's part of the reason why I wouldn't be surprised if she did get some money out of this.
Yeah, it has to be proven though that, I think part of it too is though she was fired for, as you said, Smooth, there's rules, there's regulations, and those were obviously broken straight up. And I don't see that can be disputed. But when I looked up the definition of the civil rights case, the civil rights case can also be brought for harassment in the workplace or school. This could be sexual harassment, verbal harassment, hostile work environment, intimidation, threats, or violence. Now the chief trying to get on her and not being able to, that could be actual harassment, but she herself is accused of harassment.
It'll be an interesting case to see how it turns out, man.
How it does turn out. She was offered $10,000 to strip at a Nashville club, which she didn't take. Deja Vu Showgirls offered her 10 grand. But luckily she wisely did not do that. So, I dispute that she was coerced.
Who is she suing? She's suing the officers or the police department?
She's suing the department and the officers.
So I'm guessing they'll settle out of court is probably the way it'll go.
Well, she had no problem telling the chief no. She did tell the chief no. Otherwise, he would have hit it. Otherwise, he would have hooked up with her. The chief was told no.
Well, that's probably why she'll win the case, right? Because she can. It may or may not be true, but there's enough evidence that he tried to have a sexual relationship with her, right?
But she's also claiming that people say I could have said no. I get it. My response to them is I did say no, and he wouldn't take it for an answer. Eventually, I gave in from the pressure. No, you didn't give in.
That's actually there's different ways of looking at it. That's a good point.
Yeah, you did. You slept with the guys you wanted to sleep with. You had agency, which you used. She had agency. She slept with the one she wanted. The chief was much, much, much older. These other guys were older than her, but not that much older. And she didn't want to sleep with the chief, and she didn't, which is fine.
The question is if she was up for any kind of promotion or had any kind of performance reviews or anything like that seemed to have been affected by any of that, then that's where she could win. But
I don't think it ever got that far.
I haven't heard any of that.
No, it said that the sergeant promised her that he was going to help her get promoted. And before, it doesn't look like it even got that far where it was time for a review or time for anything before all this came out. So she really can't even say that she was denied a promotion or denied advancement. I'm just not seeing it. I'm seeing someone who is doing, unfortunately, a logical thing. She has to survive. She's not viable in the workforce. What is she going to do? She has to do this in order to make money. So yeah, that's my whole thought of it. I just liked how the dude called his phone "old boy." He had a name for his phone. So now when I do my new burner, I'm gonna get a new burner.
Call it old boy.
I'm gonna call it Gorilla Pimp. I'll be like, look, you guys hit me up on Gorilla Pimp, and so the man.
I'm gonna tell you what though, I'm not gonna trust Colin Bell, man. He might be recording all of our conversations, man.
No,
I don't know about that. Come on, man. Say it
No,
ain't
I mean,
so.
well, LAT, what do you think about what I've said about her,
Um,
the initial investigation?
listen, yeah, what you said was I agree with what you said, but I also I also believe that those guys were taking advantage of her. The only reason the sergeant didn't get it is because he didn't push her hard enough. He took no for an answer. That's the only reason why he didn't hit it. So
You mean the police
the
chief?
chief, yeah. That's the only,
Okay.
because she said no to him once, and and because he's not a gorilla pimp, he took that no. He was like, okay.
Hey, in the text, he said that's the only way he knows. Gorilla pimp. So
Well, he didn't use that. He didn't use it on her
so
apparently. But
he ain't a Romeo pimp. He's not a CEO pimp or a Romeo pimp. He's a gorilla pimp.
right.
Can I tell you guys a story? I think I came across it. I don't know if it was on Reddit or something, but it's sort of related, and it's kind of like this particular story that we're talking about today is just all kind of messed up because the guys definitely are culpable with some bad behavior as well. But there was some I don't know if it was Reddit or something where this person was writing in and she worked at this company, and I don't know if they were kind of like in a sales function or something like that, and it was her and a bunch of women, and apparently there was this new guy that started working with the company, and the way she this is a couple months ago that I read it, so I don't have all the details top of mind, but from what I remember, what she said was this guy joined the company. He was, relatively quiet, did his job, was very polite, but she noticed that he treated all the other women in the office, almost like you would treat a customer or one of their clients. She actually referenced it in that way that he treated his female coworkers like we treat our clients, respectful, polite, not too, familiar, not too chummy. He never talked about his personal life. He frequently declined to join them, in social events and stuff like that. But he would engage more with the other male co-workers in the office and had built up a little bit of a friendship with them. And she said this was really starting to bother the women in the office, that he would not engage with them, wouldn't socialize, wouldn't share anything about his personal life, and anything like that. And they were considering going to HR to file a complaint against him, right? So reason I bring that up is one of the things that's really been percolating in the last 5 to 10 years in the world and in the West, for sure, just kind of this relationship between men and women. I think that's why so many of these topics are coming up on our weekend no show, is because it's like really, it's no longer bubbling under the surface. There's real issues going on in society between men and women, and they're coming to the surface, and we're being forced to answer real questions about our behavior and about how we get along with each other, and what's okay, what's not okay, and it's in some ways it's good, but in some ways it's kind of troubling. But now you've got this young man who has basically, it appears from her story, decided to say, look, there's too much risk for me getting involved socially, personally with women in the workplace. I'm going to keep it strictly professional. And you would think that would be okay, but even by doing that, you've got these young women in the office are like, no, we're gonna report you to HR. It's kind of like I think they reference it to like it's a form of toxic masculinity that he won't be friends with us, basically. So now you've got, and the reason I bring this up is because now you've got a guy who is like, okay, I'm gonna make sure there's no risk of any inappropriate behavior or misinterpretation of behavior or comments or anything like that. I'm gonna keep it strictly 100 professional, and he's getting in trouble. And then you got guys who are on the other hand, like we definitely gonna be friends. We're gonna violate police department rules and do all
Yeah.
this extra stuff, on duty, off duty, whatever, it doesn't matter. And they're also gonna get sued. So
He's
you
like,
see what I'm
yeah.
saying? This is where the frustration comes in. It's like, okay, how do you win? What do you do? All behavior is inappropriate. You know what I mean? It's a really kind of troubling situation. It's a no-win situation, is what it feels like for a lot of guys, particularly in the workplace.
And that dude should have just put his foot in their mouth. I took a picture of it and then sent it to old boy.
That's it. Y'all don't have no other. comment?
I mean, I'm tired of disagreeing with you, man. So I'm just gonna shut up.
Oh, God. Oh, no. It's finally happened.
Nah, but seriously though, and this isn't just me being, ornery, but I don't know if things have changed at all. I think the battle of the sexes has been going on since the beginning of time, and I don't think it's any worse now than it was back in the day. It's just, people are just speaking up more. So, I get what you're saying that, that guy can't win, but also, I mean, he's fine. Back when I was, back when I was in the office, I didn't really fuck with people. I got that complaint too. I actually got that complaint from our CEO. She told me that some of the women in the office were afraid of me because I didn't fuck with them, and it wasn't I didn't fuck with them because I was concerned about sexual harassment or anything. Like, I didn't fuck with them because they were some boring ass bitches, and I didn't give a fuck about their kids or their dogs or anything, so I didn't fuck with them. That's all they talked about. But you can't win. But also, I don't think it's any different than it's always been. It's just the battle continues, and all you can do is just be true to yourself. I'm sounding like you now. Just all you have to do is have a good character and be true to yourself, and don't worry about those things. I think that's what people need to do, and stop worrying about their image or their brand or whatever at the office. Just be yourself and do your fucking job, and all is fine.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but if you say so. But I think we're getting close to the end here. And if anything, we've seen how polarizing this is. We've seen how polarizing it is. And we really are going to see what happens when this lawsuit goes forward. But under no circumstances, I don't think any of us think that they shouldn't have been fired. No, I mean, none of us think that this is okay. And that's the thing, and especially in the larger issue, especially what Smooth was saying before of how these officers, these people are supposed to be protecting and serving, and here's what's going down.
No question. They all should have been fired.
They should have definitely been fired.
I mean, I'm not gonna do it, but I'd be interested if someone were to do a follow up. I'd be pressed to know whether or not they just went over to the township next door and got jobs there. Because that's what happens when cops get fired. They just go to the city next door and get a job there. So
I feel like you can do that when you murdered a black person, but now that it's something like this, they probably can't do it.
Right.
I think that it might be too hot. But if all they did was just shoot a black person in the back or something, they're like, yeah, come on over, man.
Right. Well, I mean, if you're since we're talking about race, if you're a white officer over in the next township, you're like, I don't want a bunch of these MFs coming over here.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's probably exactly the way it is. And since this is probably the last episode of the Weekend No Show, thanks a lot for listening, everybody. We really appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. And if you like this show, please like and share and subscribe and comment. Let us know what you thought of our varied opinions tonight on Maegan Hall. We definitely love to hear it and engage with you guys. So on that note, CL Smooth, Insidious LAT. Let's say goodbye, guys.
Peace out.
Peace.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you guys. Hit me up on Gorilla Pimp. Let's continue this.